that were that hard. I've fallen down many times, but I got mad hard. You see, I'm in it to win it.
Hey YouTube, how's everybody doing out there on this beautiful day? I got a few things going. Shop is really messy, but we finally got the frame. It's dry. It's sitting on the mobile rack that I made for it. Just got to touch up a few spots on it. Also, it's ready to start actually getting put back together, but I'm working on the suspension pieces, the A-arms, all the front end suspension. I had a lot of parts soaking in the evaporust, got a lot of it cleaned up. The rotors, the calipers, those things I still have to sand a little bit, clean with some thinner, and then tape them up so I can paint them. The sections where the brake calipers do not, or the brake pads, I'm sorry, where the brake pads do not touch. I want to paint those other areas so that way they don't start rusting since everything's new. Calipers, I got to tape those up, clean those up. I don't want to damage the seals, the rubber in them. So those are going to get painted as well with the same paint, the Monte. I got the upper control arms all wire wheeled, cleaned up. The gosh, I can't think today, I'm sorry. The spindles are all clean and ready to go. So those things I will be painting here in a little bit, but what I want to do is, let's switch the, what I want to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and put the shaft kit, bushing kit, in the A-arms before I paint them. That way the actual bushings get painted too, because on my Caprice I had the A-arms powder coated and then I put the bushings in after the fact, and after a while the metal on the bushing started rusting a little bit. So I want to do that now with these, to where I'm going to go ahead and put the kit together and then paint them, and then install the ball joints, and then everything will be set and ready to go. So all this is cleaned up, hit it with the wire wheel, sanded a few areas, everything's good to go. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and pull these A-arms off, go ahead and install the shaft kit on them with the bushings. The dust covers, backing plates for the front, I got to strip those still, get those cleaned up. The idler arm, I got to soak that in the I don't even think I really got to soak it. I might just hit it with the wire wheel real quick, paint that, the sway bar, the linkage, that'll be ready for paint. Like I said, with these, everything's clean. I just got to wipe it down with some thinner, hit it with a little bit of Scotch-Brite, and then go ahead and paint it. So all that stuff is ready. We'll hang that and get that painted. The lower A-arms I still have to hit with the wire wheel, get some of the rubber coating off at some of the areas. A lot of it came off really good. I'm not going to press out the lower ball joints because those are still in real good condition. After I did clean them up, I did soak them, or actually I pressed more grease into them with the grease gun and moved them around a little bit, get them coated with some grease real good. So I did end up pressing the I was going to leave them in, but I did end up pressing out the bushings on the A-arms on the lowers, because I noticed a couple of them were starting to kind of wear out a little bit. So I went ahead and replaced those, got new ones. Those will be getting pressed in as well when I get ready to paint those. That way everything gets painted all at one time. I got my tie rods here. Those are all set. And one thing is if you guys do this, stamp them. If you have a little stamp kit, I should have done that. I need to go buy one, but I should have stamped left or right. But I'll figure it out once I get it put back together. It won't be that hard. The alignment was already done prior to taking everything apart, but it won't be that hard to even just get it redone, even if I put the wrong side on, you know, if I swap the sides. So that's not a big deal. I got the tires taken off of my wheels, So I need to get those sandblasted, cleaned up. I think I'm just going to paint them this time rather than powder coating them like I did my last set. Then I do need to find, I want to find the Corvette rings that go in them, not the smaller, thin, cheap ones. I do want, I'm going to try to find some of the good Corvette ones. I had those on my last set of wheels and they looked great. These are 8-inch wide, not the 7s. So I do have a spare that I will be running in my car. It's sitting over here in the corner in the shop. But like I said, I gotta work on my lawnmower too, as you can see. But the frame is on the rack. Like I said, there's a few spots I need to touch up. So it's just the spots where it was bolted to the brackets that were on the rotisserie. But everything, like I said, came out really great. So I am gonna pull this off. Not sure if I'm gonna cap the ends like I said before, or order a new one with a double hump in it that's already pre-made for the 4L60, but we'll see. That's not a big deal. I'm not pressed about that right now. But she's ready to start getting put back together. I got my box of goodies over here. So everything will start, we'll start getting everything together. Motor mounts, springs, shocks. The springs, like I told you guys before, I'm not going to paint those. Those are in still real good condition, so I'm not going to worry about repainting those. Need to get this shop cleaned up real bad, but we're going to go ahead and start breaking this down, getting it taken apart, getting all the rust off of it, clean it up. That way I can get the backing plates off, clean the bolts up, get everything soaked and cleaned, get the bushings pressed out. That way I can get new ones, get the arms cleaned up, soak them in that solution, the Evaporust, get everything cleaned up, and get that stuff painted. I think I'm going to go ahead and paint the rear axle before I send it in to get rebuilt, because I want to get a posi unit put in it with the 373 gears in it. I want to take it apart. I'm pretty curious to take it apart and see what's in there now. The guy I bought the car from, he had the he worked in a transmission shop. So back then he put a 700R4 transmission in the car, rebuilt, but I don't know if he did anything else with this. So I don't think he did. Everything looks like it's still original factory, clean. I mean, real dirty. I may weld the tubes here just for, peace of mind, just so I know that everything's solid. But we're going to start breaking this thing down, getting it cleaned up. That way I can take it into the shop here, local shop here in town that rebuilt the axle for me in my Caprice. And then we'll get to the firewall. Start cleaning this bad boy up. Get the body back on the rotisserie. That way I can paint the rest of the belly on the sides and the trunk area that I couldn't hit with the undercoating, well, bed liner. Get that cleaned up, paint that, and then I can put the body back on the frame once everything's put back together. But this is going to be a main part that I need to hurry up and get done, get into the shop so I can get it back from the shop so we can go ahead and start getting everything put back together. So once we do that, once everything starts getting put back together, I will get the motor back in the car, transmission, the rear axle. I'll get the whole drive line pretty much in the car, bolted up, ready to go. So that way all I have to do is slide the frame, suspension, everything back under the car, and then set the body back on the frame, and then go ahead and do my body work. So let me go ahead and get started. I'm gonna cut you back off here and try to get some of these things cleaned up, put together, and then we'll cut you back on here in a little bit. All right, YouTube, we're back. I'm going to go ahead and get these bushings pressed into the front control arms and get them put together. But let me show you what I'm doing real quick. Okay, so like I said, going back with MOOG, this is the kit. This side will go to the wheel side. So if this was on the right side, this would be going out towards the tire. That's how it'll be put together. And the way I do it, I know everybody's gonna, have their own way to do it, and that's fine. I'll set this, I don't have a press, so I'll set this up on the vise, and what I'll do is I'll press in one side first. I'll get a socket that'll fit over this, pound it down, get it to where it sits flush on the arm, and then I'll go ahead and insert the bar, put the nut, the washer, put everything on this side together, so it'll go like this. Let's say this side's pressed in. We'll go ahead and get this inserted this way, get there, inside that way, with the washer, of course. The washer goes here, this one with the little teeth in it. That way it locks into this spacer in here. And then this washer and nut will go on this side. And then that'll tighten down once this is pressed in. And then once that's pressed in, then I'll come back on this side. I'll go ahead and put this bushing in, and I'll do the same thing. I'll flip it upside down, put it in the vise, and I'll go ahead and tap this side down with the washer and get it pressed in. Once that's pressed in, then I'll go ahead and put the nut, the washer on this side, tighten it down, both sides. I'll get these, hold this side with the vice grip or the with either a set of vice grips or the vise on the table, and I'll go ahead and shoot this down with the impact. Get both sides tightened, and then this will be ready. So let me get that situated, and then we'll cut you back on here in a little bit. All right, YouTube, I'm right here at the bench. Please excuse my bench. Like I said, the shop is very messy right now. I'll get time to clean it later once I get a lot of this stuff put together on this frame and get it put underneath the car. Then we'll go ahead and concentrate on cleaning the shop, getting it ready so we can do body work. I want to hang plastic up over that area there, push the body underneath that, and then that'll contain all my dust, all my Bondo dust, whatever's going to be done with the body. All that'll be contained in that little area. It's kind of be like a makeshift room for me to do that. So what I got going on here, what I'll do is, this is just hanging up here for now, but I'll have this sitting on the vise like this, and what it will do is to press these in. See how I got the space in between there? It's not touching on both sides. Focus camera. What I'm gonna do, hopefully that stays up there one-handed here. So I couldn't find my socket that would actually fit over this. I think I lent it to someone and haven't got it back yet, but this right here is for my ball joint press. This will set exactly over that bushing there, and then I'll get this deal right here from the ball joint press. We'll set that on top, then I'll go ahead and pound this bushing in to where it sits on those little teeth there. I don't know if you can see them on each side, but there's 4 of them all the way around. There's 4, and it'll sit right on top of that there. So once that's fully seated, then I'll go ahead and cut you back on and go to the next step. All right, YouTube, we're back. I got it pressed in. Didn't take much. See if this camera will focus. Just doing this with my phone, so bear with me. But as you can see, that's fully seated all the way around. Okay, so I use that for the ball print. Use that tool there, the little spacer for the for my ball joint press. I'll do that with the other 3. So now that that side's in, what I'll do is get this off of here. Like I said, we'll take that off of there. Let's go back over here to the other parts. Now, like I said, this is my way of doing it. Everybody else has their own way of doing it. So this is just the way I do it. Let's flip that back around. And like I said, this is the reason why I'm putting these in now, because I want to paint this as well. In my other car, after they were powder coated, then I pressed these in, and not too long after that they started rusting. I didn't like the way that looked. Everything else was clean. Then I have a few rusty parts which were new, but I just didn't like that look. So let's go ahead and get the shaft. The shaft is going to go in here like this. Oh, wait, before I do that, I need to install this washer. That's going to lock it in place once it's tight. So as you can see, it's got them little grooves in there, them little teeth. There's little teeth on here. I don't know if we can focus and see that, but you see the little teeth in there. It's going to be like a gear. So that's what's going to lock in place. So doing this one-handed is kind of hard, but okay, we'll insert that way. I'll line it up once I get it ready to tighten, and we'll get it lined up. As you can see, that's going to be the wheel side. Oh, that's towards the motor. So see, I'm going backwards because I'm looking at the camera. So this is going to be, oh wait a second, right side. I don't think that matters. No, that don't matter. Okay, I saw the RT and I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember ever seeing that. So I thought it might have been left and right, which doesn't matter. So, okay, let's do this on the upside down. So this is going to be the wheel side. That's going to be towards the motor. So, of course, this is going to go this way. So let me get this washer switched around. All right, there we go. Mexican Lee's got to get his head on right, get in the game here. Okay, so again, you can see wheel side is going to go out towards the wheel. So we get that set in there like that. Now we'll go ahead and put this big washer and nut on this side just to hold it in place. That way it doesn't fall out when I go ahead and get the other side pounded on. I might have to cut you off, but anyways, you get the idea. Okay, that's what's going to happen there. I'm not going to tighten it down. I'm just going to finger tighten it, put it on. Then we'll go ahead and get this bushing in place, get it back up on the vise, and then press it in place. So that way that lines up. Then once that gets pressed in place, then we'll get the washer and then the nut. But on this side, because I pulled that side off, I need that little gear washer. That's going to go on there. That way once it's tight, it locks into place. That will go inside that bushing. So let me go ahead and get that situated, then we'll get you cut back on. All right, YouTube, cut you back on real quick. One thing that I did have to do, and I'm not sure why it came like that, maybe just being bounced around in the boxes after packaging, but some of the threads, I had to get my little file kit. I just got the one that, it's not going to focus, but it's like a little square. It's got 4 corners, flat corners on it. And I went through and kind of cleaned up the threads a little bit. I set this in the vise, the shaft, and I got a little bit of lubricant, put it on there. I was only able to barely get the nut on by hand, just not even a full turn. It just stopped. As soon as I got it on the thread, it stopped. So I cleaned up a few of the threads. A few of the threads looked like they were a little bit dented. Put a little lubricant on it, and I started it and started getting it to turn. Kept lubing it, taking it off, cleaning it up. So I had to do that a couple times in order to be able to get the nut on. So you may have to do that. They're brand new, like I said, but that one I will do that too when I get ready to put it in that arm. But we're ready to go to the next step. This side's already pushed in. I got the bar in place. Wheel side is facing the outside of the arm. So this side is ready to get pushed in. Or actually, this side's pushed in already. That's pressed in. So this side, I kind of lost myself there putting this nut on. But this side I got to press in. So this lip here will be sitting flush all the way around the arm. So we'll go ahead and get this transferred over to the vise. As you can see, the little washers in there. Let's get you over here to the vise. This one's going to be backwards from the other side. So I'm going to hold it up there with my other hand, but as you can see, it's, oh my God, sorry, camera's so bouncy. It's sitting in there, it's not touching. So the arm will sit, it will sit flush on here once I get ready to press it in. It'll sit flat like that. So I got to do some adjustments with the vise, but you get the idea. So once that's on there, we'll go ahead and put this on top again, like I said, and we'll get the sludge hammer here, and I'll start pressing it in. What that's going to do, it's going to push this up against this arm. Once it's fully seated all the way around, it's set. The whole shaft kit is already in place, fully seated, and all I have to do is put the washer nut on this side, torque it down, but I will not torque it down until I get it actually put on the car. Once I get it on the car with the springs in place, the spindle, then I'll go ahead and tighten it down to the specific torque spec, which I don't have that offhand, but I'll put that in the next video. But let me cut you off and get to pushing. Let's get these other A-arms complete. All right, YouTube, we're back. Only took a few seconds, but she's fully seated. It's on all the way. Let's go ahead and take this back over here. I gotta see where everything's at. Not look through the camera. Okay, so now we got our washer and our nut. On your nut, it's always gonna be, it's like a compression nut. So this side is rounded, that's always gonna be on your outside, because that's where it's going to lock. It's kind of like a locking nut. The flat side is always going to go inboard. The rounded side is always going to go on the outside. Okay. So that's going to go like that. All right. She's there. All set. I'll wipe her down with some thinner. We'll go ahead and get her painted up. The washer's got that coating on it, so that and the nut, I'll go ahead and tape that up. But as far as this bushing, I'm gonna leave that like that so I can paint it along with the arm. So we're gonna go ahead and get all that wiped down with some thinner, and then we'll hang it back on the rack, and that'll be complete and ready for paint. So shaft kit is installed. I'm gonna go ahead and cut you off here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this one installed, wiped down and hung, ready for paint. And then we'll get to cleaning these lower control arms. And I may go ahead and paint the spindles and the upper control arms today, just so they can start drying. But we'll see. We'll cut you back on here in a little bit. We'll see. All right, YouTube, we're back. We got both shafts, bushings, washers, and the compression nuts installed. And like I said, I did not tighten them down. That will come Once everything's mounted on the car, ball joints, everything's set, spindles, once I get the car sitting on the ground and I get the weight of the engine, everything on it, then I'll tighten these down, torque them out, and get everything nice and tight, snug. Then that way she gets her, preload set. I believe that's what it's called. I'm not really sure. That's how I've done it all these years, and I've never had any issues. So that's how I do it, like I said. If there's a right way, wrong way, feel free to let me know in the comments. That way when I build my Impala, I'll know. Or even for future builds, when I do my son's cars, I'll know more or less how to do it later. But that's how I've always done it all these years, and I've never had any issues. Everything's set nice and flush, as you can see. Nice and flush there on the arm. Wheel side is out towards the wheel. The cushion that goes in here, those are new as well. I just took them out so I can clean everything up and get it ready for paint. Those will get pushed back in once I get it painted. I think I am going to go ahead and paint these and then paint the spindles that I have hanging already. I think we're going to go ahead and get those painted up today. So I pretty much just kind of wanted to today introduce the next step of what I was doing. The spindles, the upper control arms, the lower control arms, and bushings. We'll go ahead and get those pressed in here later on tonight after I wire wheel and get everything cleaned up on the lower arms. That I won't put on camera. I might put that on camera, but it's still the same process. With the lower arms, of course, what I always do is I get a piece of steel that I can put inside these ears here, because when you go to pushing these in, I always use my ball joint press, and what I've noticed is these ears here will start to squeeze in, and they don't hold that bushing in all the way it's supposed to. It doesn't fully seat. So what I do is I always put a piece of steel in between here, so that way it holds that space in between there. Then I go ahead and start pushing in my bushings. So if you can, please chime in on that too. Let me know if that's the correct way, if there's a better way. But like I said, all these years, that's how I've done it, and I've never had any issues. I've never had any come back out. This time I do want to press them in after I clean up these arms. That way I can go ahead and paint them with the arm. That way they don't rust as well. So that's going to be the next step. Hopefully I can get that done tonight as well. That way lower control arms ready to paint. Get you like that. So I want to keep pushing, see what we can get done. Getting ready to stop here in a little bit, go get something to eat. Maybe put some meat on the grill for the kids. I'm not sure yet. I'm tired of fast food. Gained a lot more weight. As you can see, my face is getting fat again. But this is going to conclude today's video in Mexican Lee's Therapy Garage. I did change the name again. Like I said, this is more therapy for me. It's not a business. I don't do this to gain customers. I don't do this to take anybody's work from them. I'm not trying to. I work a full-time job, so 6 days a week. It's hard for me to get in here to even try to get a customer's job in here to do some work. My guys in my car club, I'll help them out. Somebody that may need a little bit of help, if I have the time, then I'll do something like that, as long as it's quick, something fast, brake work, oil change, something like that. But this here is strictly for me to have therapy for myself. This is what I like doing. The few years that I have left on the earth, I want to just be able to enjoy myself, turn some wrenches on my free time that I do have, that I can make. Go to work, of course, punch my clock. I love my job. It's blessed me with I ain't gonna say many years, the few years that I've been there. There's people in that place that have been there 30, 40 years, and they keep pushing. That's what they love doing. So that's fine. I'm not gonna do 30 years. I started way too late. Always wanted to work for them because of my parents, but hey, I got in there at a late age, so I'm gonna do as many years as I can, hopefully have a decent, healthy life left over once I do quit, and maybe keep pushing and doing this kind of work till my last days. So with that being said, thank you again. Like, comment, subscribe, please share, and like I say, comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of my work. If you have a better way, easier way to do it for an old man, hey, let me know, man. I'd appreciate the input. Good or bad, I don't mind. I could take constructive criticism. I deal with it well. So again, thank you for watching. Have a good one.